you can't have people in who are worth millions trying to tell us what he's going to do for us, and it's not working. It's not working.
It must be so galling to think you're being governed by people, not just him, by the majority of people who haven't got a clue how the everyman live.
You see him, he tried to pay for petrol and he didn't even know how to pay for petrol, did he? Do you know what I mean?
What do you make of Rishi Sunak?
Difficult because from what we read and hear, which is all we have to go by, him and his family, if you like, are so well off that we, the general public, worry, has he got a clue how we live?
You need someone like yourself, you work, you need someone from a normal background. Yeah, who's been there, had nothing, and they've made their way up. Not a silver spoon. You can't have people in who are worth millions trying to tell us what he's going to do for us, and it's not working. It's not working.
And as I say, I consider myself fairly lucky. I've worked all my life. But the majority of people, the situation they're in, it must be so galling to think you're being governed by people, not just him, by the majority of people who haven't got a clue how the everyman live.
What can I say? He's another one that's sort of gone back on his promises, isn't he? So, yeah, I'm not impressed.
Well, could you start off being a young man? You thought the world would get a better place, being born after the war. It's got worse. Eventually, we're going to have to go back to horses, because we won't be able to ride into London or nowhere like that, will we? So.
What do you make of the government at the moment?
Mess. A complete mess. Don't trust any of them.
None of them?
None of them. Whatever political party.
When we vote for Conservatives, and you say to me you're going to change these roads, that's what I'm voting for. But you don't do it. You do what you want to do. You're not doing what they said. They're supposed to put the pensions up with the inflation. They keep cutting it off. They're going to do it this time because they know full well if they hadn't done it this time, there'd been an uproar in this country. But they've stopped it every year. But they agreed that when they got in. But they haven't done it. It's the first time they've done it. These poor people, the poor pensioners, they've got nothing, mate.
Do you think they understand what life is like for people in Campbell?
No, definitely not. No. I mean, we're lucky we're not too bad off. We're pensioners, but we've got private income as well, a private pension. But people without must be really struggling. Must be. So, I don't. It's a mess, but I don't know how they sort it out. Anybody.
But everyone's not happy. People ain't got money to splash about, and come next August, they've all got to scrap their cars, and there's less buses on the road, so I don't know how people are going to get about. Do you know what I mean? But
I was a decorator since I was 15, so over 50 years, and I've worked with the elderly. And when you see them in their house and they haven't got anything to eat, I've even given people a telly, because they ain't even got a telly in their house. Do you know what I mean? There are people about that have got nothing, and there's no help from them. But we're paying £7 million a week on hotels for people that shouldn't even be in the country.
What issues matter to you in terms of if you were to vote for someone, what would you want them to say?
I think to sort out the actual immigration coming into the UK. I mean, for us to move to New Zealand, we had to go through so much medical tests, all sorts of questionnaires and point system. And I feel like, you get here and there's people coming on a boat, and I think that's wrong. And I think the NHS needs to be sorted out. And I think it needs to go back to the values it had in the 1940s when it was first set up. So someone coming in needs to look at that and housing. I mean, the traffic, since we've come back, I've noticed is dreadful on Canvey. If there's an accident, you can't get off the island. I mean, we're okay, we haven't got a car, so it doesn't affect me. But if something happens, the whole island comes to a standstill. So I think housing a number of people, it's impacted the island. For when we used to come here, you could get on and off easily, and now it's constant traffic. So the healthcare system, traffic, and immigration, I think, really.
What would the Conservatives have to do to earn your vote at the next election?
Stop increasing taxes for the taxable paying people like in the middle bracket and start, charging more on those that have got billions and millions that are just moving money out of the country to stop paying taxes.
Do you think they'll do that?
No. I think they're probably getting too much revenue from people that are earning a lot of money.
Do you think someone like Keir Starmer understands?
You're between a rock and a hard place, aren't you, really? Anybody in that... It's difficult because anybody in that situation normally are better off than the average. And the average are going to see that as a disadvantage, but then the average don't want to stand anyway. They don't want to get embroiled in all that anyway. So, I don't know. I think, as I say, a rock and a hard place.
What do you think of Keir Starmer?
I wouldn't vote for him, put it that way.
Why wouldn't you vote for him?
I just think he's arrogant.
He's obviously quite an able person. He's not my cup of tea, I must admit. Obviously, he's not been tested yet. I would like to see if they're going to be an alternative to the Conservatives, then I think they need to put... It's no good saying, this is what we want to do. You need to put some meat on the bones. How are you going to cost it? How is it actually going to be implemented? Time frames and that sort of thing. Because at the moment, they're having an easy ride because the government's under a lot of pressure, but they don't appear to be pushing the government far enough because they're not doing anything.
I don't normally vote Labour. I did one time ago.
When did you vote Labour?
Well, just before they were going to join the EU, a few years back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the 70s?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I had a bit of faith in Blair. It reminds me of a man that wanted to get on and get money in everyone's pocket.
What have you made of Brexit?
Oh, God. I gave up on Brexit in the end. I just couldn't keep up with it. I found it so confusing in the end because everybody was saying so many different things that I think, like a lot of people, and I don't consider myself stupid, but like a lot of people, they gave up on it because they just couldn't keep up with the indecision and the changes. So we became indecisive.
What did you want to happen?
I wanted us to come out simply because I don't think we benefited that much by being in. So that was the reason I wanted to come out.
And then has Brexit affected Canby or Castlepoint at all?
I wouldn't think so. No, I wouldn't think so.
As I say, I enjoy my life. I've got good family behind me, good stepchildren, so they won't let us go without, and that's it. You've got to look after your family because no one else is going to look after them in this country. And I probably will vote Conservative again because I don't want Labour in because Labour has just put us, we'll be worse than what we are now. But I think they need to change some of their, get out on the street, you know what I mean? You see him, he tried to pay for petrol and he didn't even know how to pay for petrol, did he? Do you know what I mean? But, I think it's just one of them things they just got to look at life in a different way. And I think this country could be better. It might take a year, 2 years. Yeah, it might take a year, 2 years, but I think we can turn it around somehow.